Deputy Maurice Quinlivan, is it on behalf of Sinn Féin?
Yes. Taoiseach, yesterday the Midwest suffered another hammer blow with the decision of Aer Lingus to close its Shannon base. This has the potential to be catastrophic for the Midwest region. The Shannon-London Heathrow connection and the onward connections are vital to the people of the Midwest and businesses in the area. Sinn Féin vigorously opposed the privatisation of Aer Lingus in 2015, and we said at the time that it would leave the state at a strategic disadvantage and could cost jobs. The decision to sell off this key state asset now severely weakens the government's hand in this situation. We warned at the time that Aer Lingus was of such strategic importance to the state and the Midwest region that it must be kept in state ownership. My thoughts are with the families and workers today. The Minister for Transport has taken a hands-off approach to aviation for too long, and the aviation workers are paying the price. Taoiseach, yesterday you washed your hands of the problem, blaming it on the pandemic. The anger from staff and their families is palpable.
Thank you, Deputy.
This cannot be blamed on the pandemic alone. The real problem is you and your government's lack of planning. We have a crisis in aviation and jobs have been lost, many of which will not be replaced. Taoiseach, you need direct intervention from yourself, as the Minister for Transport is not up to the task.
Taoiseach, please.
First of all, the government is deeply concerned with the decision of Aer Lingus yesterday. I'm not blaming, we're seeking to get something, to do something about it. Government has been supporting both the airlines and the airports from the beginning of the pandemic. Okay, that's without contradiction in terms of the EWIS and the various schemes, and in terms of supports to the airports, in terms of capital, and indeed through ISIF to support Aer Lingus, which ISIF was condemned earlier, but ISIF has helped in terms of the liquidity for the airline, for Aer Lingus in particular. And I'm acutely aware of the devastating impact that the COVID-19 restrictions has had on travel and aviation. We can't deny that, unfortunately. And that's not blaming anything, it's just a reality. The virus has killed travel for the last year. But we are determined to reopen aviation, and we will work with the interests in Shannon and the workers in Shannon. And
thank you very much. We're over time, Taoiseach. Well, thank you, Deputy Alan Kelly.
Situation changed.
Taoiseach, I'd like to raise the issue of Shannon as well. I live very close to it in my corner of Tipperary. The real fact is that the baseline of actual traffic growth in Ireland, or the volume since taken 2013 as a baseline, 96% of all growth has been in Dublin. That's the real issue here. So 2 points I want to ask you. One, the 150 million ISIL loan. All other countries who give state aid to airlines put conditions on it to protect workers and jobs. What conditions were put on this 150 million to protect jobs? Will you outline to us? And secondly, why in the name of God, for the last year, has the chairmanship of Shannon Airport been left vacant? When it came to this decision this week, Aer Lingus had no one to talk to. I've asked this question multiple times of the Minister. There is no chairperson for the guts of a year. It's ridiculous.
First of all, in terms of the ISIF is a loan facility, in a commercial loan facility in respect of making sure, which was the big objective of the time, was to get liquidity to protect jobs. And that was the whole objective, because the airlines have lost, jobs heavily over the last year because of the pandemic, and so they got liquidity support through the ISIF Pandemic Stabilisation and Recovery Fund. There was a 32 million Regional State Airports programme, which gave capital and current funding to Shannon and to Cork, which was important to those airports. Now, getting international travel back up and running is obviously the key to the continued economic well-being of Shannon and indeed Cork and the regions. Now, we have, through the URDF funding, for example, we have invested heavily in the regions. We need to grow the regional cities. We need to grow the regional cities in particular
for a year.
To offset what you've said earlier about the 96%. We need to build up the cities around the country.
Taoiseach. Thank you, Deputy Gary Gannon.
Plenty of points of contact. It's not, the chairman is not the issue.
Deputy Willie O'D, please.
Thank you, Cahirlach. I want to bring the Taoiseach back to the, what in my view is the totally disproportionate decision by Aer Lingus management yesterday to effectively sack 126 cabin crew and ground staff. What I want to ask the Taoiseach is whether there is a full realisation in government of the potential consequences of this for regional imbalance, for tourism, for investment generally in the region. And what I want to ask him specifically is what, if any, efforts have been made or communication, or what, if any, communication has been made with Aer Lingus management to ask them to reverse or at least review that decision in view of the fact that they linked it to quarantine, which I am told is due to end shortly, and can the Taoiseach confirm that it will end shortly? And secondly, I want to ask the Taoiseach if the government have received any assurance from Aer Lingus in relation to the routes, the valuable Shannon routes, particularly to Heathrow and to several American destinations.
Thank you. Taoiseach.
Well, first of all, I would call on Aer Lingus to review its decision and to change that decision. The ministers will be meeting with Aer Lingus today, and the entire thrust of government policy is to create proper regional development and balance in terms of the economic development of this country, and airports are key to that, and the Shannon Airport is key to that, as is Cork Airport. But as has been said earlier, over the years, the volume of traffic has been concentrated in the Dublin area, so we need to build up the regional cities in terms of Limerick, Cork and many others, and that's why there's been the largest infrastructural investment has been put into those cities. But on the specifics, in terms of there is realisation in government of the seriousness of this, and no effort will be spared to get international travel back. And next week we will have proposals around that entire area of international travel as we emerge from the pandemic.
Thank you, Taoiseach.